Often what we see is someone that may sign over assets, add someone to their bank account that shouldn't be there, try to find money through a reverse mortgage. Originally, when reverse mortgages came out, they were working well. It really depends on your personal situation. We've seen people have someone move in with them, family or not, where it turns out they have ulterior motives, and that can be a big mistake as well. And the greatest mistake is not preparing. So if you still can, preparing is the best thing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. I'm Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning and probate attorney, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. We're here to empower women who value their health, wealth, and the legacies that they're creating. This podcast delves into a diverse range of subjects encompassing finance, law, mental, and physical health, and beyond. Our commitment is to furnish you with invaluable insights, engaging expert interviews, and enlightening episodes that address your questions on wills, estate planning, probate matters, and more. Remember, this is your community, and we want to hear from you. Engage with us, ask questions, and suggest topics. Let's build a dialogue. Reach out to us on social media or leave us a comment. Your input fuels the conversations that we have. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our upcoming content. We appreciate your support. And if you enjoy the podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Your review helps us to amplify our reach and brings our content to more listeners. And now, on with the podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches so many families: navigating elder care and the invaluable role of an aging life care manager. As our loved ones age, finding quality care and making the right decisions can feel overwhelming. That's why I'm thrilled to be joined by two incredible experts from Ferretto Young Care Management Consulting, Jessica Young and Anne-Marie Rheil. Jessica Young is the president and a professional aging life care manager with over 2 decades of experience. She's led groundbreaking initiatives in dementia care, care management, and senior living services. She also serves on the board of Maryland First Disability Trust, advocating for individuals with disabilities. Joining her is Anne-Marie Rheil, a certified care manager with a passion for helping families navigate the challenges of aging. With a master's degree from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County's Erickson School of Aging, she's known for her ability to transform overwhelming situations into manageable solutions, particularly for families facing cognitive decline. And today, we'll explore how aging life care managers like Jessica and Anne-Marie provide guidance, support, and peace of mind during some of life's most challenging situations. Let's dive in. Ladies, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you both here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump right in because there's so much that I want to talk about today. First of all, can you explain what an aging life care manager does and how they support families? And specifically, how does Ferretto Young help?
So aging life care managers kind of have a wide range of expertise in all sorts of areas that do impact families, everything from future planning to crisis management to what resources are out there. So aging life care managers touch on multiple things. We're kind of like the project manager of running a very big project. And so people bring us in, and then we can kind of figure out what are the needs, what are the plans, and bring that information to the person to make sure that they are fully informed and making the right decisions that benefits them, because everyone is so different. It doesn't, it's not a one size fits all. And in most projects, things can sometimes change along the way. Bumps in the road come, maybe a health issue comes along, and maybe the plan was to stay home, and maybe now you don't want to stay home. The aging life care manager is going to be there to kind of work through all of that with you, and just provide that guidance and one-to-one. So in terms of Ferretto Young's team, we have a very large team, and the team comes with so many backgrounds, and that is very beneficial to all of the clients that call in, because we're able to match what their needs are to the expert that can fit that. So that we have social workers, we have nurses. There's a wide range of folks and their backgrounds. Some have worked in rehab, some have worked in hospice services, some have worked in hospitals. So it all kind of comes together to be able to provide family very independent, third-party, unbiased information. We work specifically for the client.
And how are aging life care managers trained? What kind of certifications or anything should one look for?
Aging life care managers typically come from another profession, as Jessica mentioned, where they are serving older adults. So they could be nurses, social workers, occupational therapists, dementia practitioners. The credential you want to look for is a certified care manager. And you can look on the Aging Life Care Association website to see what credential each care manager has, as well as their years of experience. The public should look for this credential, and if possible, find a company that has team members that come with a variety of professions, as this does bring the wealth of knowledge and experience.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Anne-Marie. You mentioned the Aging Life Care Association as a resource. Can you explain how families can use it to find qualified professionals in their area?
So Aging Life Care Association is our national organization where professional aging life care managers join. There's codes of ethics. There's a lot that goes into being able to become a member of ALCA. And that's kind of how we all say it is ALCA. But there is an Aging Life Care Association website. And so it's nationwide. So if you go in there, maybe you're hearing this and your loved one is out in California and they might need to, you go in onto the ALCA website, you type in their zip code, and it pulls up all the information that Anne-Marie had just mentioned in terms of what their expertise are, because there are solo practitioners out there too. Maybe it's an RN and that person out in California needs more medical guidance. That might be a great fit. But that website is the standard in looking for an Aging Life Care Association. They've met the criteria. They met the levels that they needed to.
Many families just struggle to find trustworthy care services. There's so much fraud, misinformation out there. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen in this process?
We've seen families hire someone who's not licensed or insured, which can lead to poor care being provided. It can lead to financial fraud, benefits fraud, and a long struggle to regain control. But it's not just physical care. There are some important home improvements that can be made to age in place safely, and you want to be sure you hire someone who has the correct certification to install something like grab bars, they need to be installed the right way and in the right location. So having a licensed contractor for different services you may need. We want to make sure folks know that cheaper does not mean better, and things could cost more in the long run if you're not using a licensed professional to start with.
And I think I mentioned this during our show prep, but there are, and I see them ever so often, depending on what neighborhood I'm driving through, there are just signs like on the road, care manager, care nurse, with a phone number, and you really don't know what you're getting. And so it's really important for everybody watching and listening to really take advantage of the resources that are going to be that have been mentioned and that will continue to be mentioned in this podcast, so that you're seeking, you find somebody trustworthy to care for your loved one. So you mentioned that you've worked with families from diverse backgrounds, and I absolutely love that. What are some of the cultural or emotional barriers to accepting help, and how do you address it?
So every family comes to us a little bit different, depending on the background, depending on what their parents think, depending on what they think, depending on what their culture has taught them, depending on locations of where they grew up. So all of these things play together when it's time to kind of start thinking about help. A lot of cultures are very much into you take care of your loved one no matter what, that's it. And that can be that's almost impossible in today's world, just because there's so many things that people are, multiple jobs, kids running around with different things. So when it comes down to, so when we do get that call, let's figure out what we're dealing with. Are we dealing with thoughts of, well, my mom says she's never leaving her home because her mom was in a nursing home and it was terrible and all of the, okay, let's start there. Okay, so we know what mom's thinking about. Let's start altering our plan so we can help better meet where she is now, to start understanding getting maybe some home health is not at all the same as what her mother had gone through in the past. So I think that really figuring out where they're at and then guiding them through that piece, because families are not always in the same state, not even the same city, same state. I mean, we have family members that live across the world and their loved ones are here, and we're here to be their boots on the ground and help give them the information that their loved one's doing okay. So we tackle it as it comes in, because again, everything we do is so individualized.
I'm Afro-Cuban, of Afro-Cuban descent. And in the Cuban culture, it is just considered, the expected thing to do, that you are going to care for your parents, either moving them in with you or, what have you, but you are going to take care of them until the end because they have taken care of you. And there is, in some circles, a lot of guilt that is put on, young adults, the young adult caregiver who turns into caregiver, but who also has a job and may have a family of their own, while they're also, they want to provide care, because they love their parent. Is that something that you've also seen, that guilt with the young adults?
Yeah, caregiver guilt is real, but times have changed. It used to be you learned how to provide care for someone in an intergenerational home, and that's not how we're living right now. So we can support caregivers if they're experiencing that caregiver guilt and encourage them to stay healthy themselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you speak to the issue of misleading advertising in elder care, and what should families be wary of?
So this one, there's a lot to tackle in that question, is what I'll say. I think, and we'll probably have this this message throughout this is you can't just go to Google for everything. You can't. There's a lot of information out there when people type in, say, maybe home care, or they type in placement or home repair, and basically whoever's paying the most to bump those, sponsorships up, that's what you're going to get. And not all of the time can that search, that top search that's sponsored, they probably don't even provide that service. That's just their way to get you to call in, give them your information, and then they can start guiding you to where they feel that you should be going, not you going to the direction that you think is going. So yeah, I'm not saying never ever Google. That should not ever be your only source of any type of research when you're dealing with this, because senior care is very expensive. It is very specialized, and not just anyone can do it. So paying attention to what you're looking for, doing the research, reaching out. Maybe someone at your job has used a home modification company before. Maybe someone at your job has used home care for a loved one. We get a lot of calls to us because people have used, oh, I used you for my mom and now I need you for my aunt, kind of thing. So you definitely have to keep your guard up. People are you're going to see words like advisors and things of that nature that really they're not aging life care managers. And these people will start to see that and think, oh yeah, they can help me. And that is not the case. So what I say is, like, if you get to that point, we give a free 30-minute consult call. If you are,
and we're going to talk about more of that at the end. And I'm glad you do.
You just call and just kind of say, okay, I need to start looking for this. I'm at the beginning. Give me some tips. We have no problem us giving you tips. If that's going to save you a whole lot of trouble down the line, because sometimes we get calls after the fact. And it's like, oh, they're calling me all the time. This isn't even what I want. So call. We'll give you some guidance on what to ask.
The other thing I would add for families to be wary of is anyone who's being pushy or making lots of promises. So, do your homework, ask around, call us. But if someone's being pushy to have you sign a contract or promising everything that you think you need, chances are you should be a little more curious.
I'm so glad you said that, Anne Marie, because some people come off as like used car salesmen. They're just trying to get you to sign. And thank you for that. Now, we touch on costs, and of course that can be a sensitive point for a lot of people because they may not have an unlimited source of funds to care for their parent. Can you walk us through how your services are billed and whether any insurance or financial assistance options are available?
So our services are all billed as needed hours. So we're not tied into any minimums, maximums, any of that. People can use us for a very little bit of time or a very, very long time. It's completely up to them. That's a key word there. Some long-term care insurance plans do have a component that will cover care management services. But since every plan is so different, it's hard to, without the person calling us and telling us or giving us the policy for us to review to say, okay, yes, this is covered. That generally it's private pay, but a few folks do have that long-term care insurance policy. The other piece is sometimes people are calling because they don't have a lot of resources and they need to figure out what's out there. Is there subsidies? Is there benefits that I might qualify for? I will tell you, veteran benefits, a lot of people don't even put that into their calculations. And so that's one of the questions that we will ask. Are you or the loved one a veteran? Because there's benefits there they could tap into that could help pay for some care. So yes, we have our hourly rate, but our goal really is to connect people to what is going to best suit them. And there are different programs for different people in different counties, and that's where all that individual piece comes together again.
I appreciate you highlighting the point about veterans, because we have a lot of veterans that listen to the podcast, particularly in this, DMV area. We have a lot of veterans in this area. So thank you for that. That's something good to know. What are the financial mistakes that you have seen seniors make when planning for care?
Often what we see is someone that may sign over assets, add someone to their bank account that shouldn't be there, try to find money through a reverse mortgage. Originally, when reverse mortgages came out, they were working well. It really depends on your personal situation. We've seen people have someone move in with them, family or not, where it turns out they have ulterior motives, and that can be a big mistake as well. And the greatest mistake is not preparing. So if you still can, preparing is the best thing.
That's a great segue to my next question. So from your experience in working with clients, what role does estate planning, which is my area of expertise, what role does that play in ensuring a smooth long-term care process from your vantage point?
The best thing you can do is get your estate planning done, your will, your powers of attorney, knowing where your money is, knowing your end of life wishes, having all of that taken care of in advance, and communicating it to the people that need to know that you've taken those steps is really the best thing you can do. So get it done, put your wishes in writing, and share it with the people that need to know about it.
Thank you. The two pillars of my law practice are education and empowerment. And in the education piece, I beat that drum all the time. Get your planning done. Don't leave a mess, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And that doesn't mean, I'm not just saying, talking about death, but also incapacity, right? Debilitating event can, particularly if you run a business, can take you out of pocket for a long time, and you're going to need services. So, long-term rehabilitative, services might be needed. So it's so important to have those documents ready to protect you while you're alive, especially, and as well as protecting, your assets when you're no longer here. And you all, and Ferretto Young is such an example of an entity that helps you protect your loved ones while they're still here, and providing, as best as possible, a decent, good quality of life while they're still here. Let's talk about capacity assessments for a second, and just do a slight pivot. How do you, or what kind of capacity assessments do you perform? And if you can educate the public on what we're talking about. I know what we're talking about when I say capacity assessment, but can we start first there and kind of giving us a basic definition, and then describing how you actually perform one?
So and I will start by saying, we hope we don't have to do capacity assessments, because our goal really is for everybody to have everything in place, so we're not to the point where a person is unable to be in that capacity to make decisions. But when it comes to, now this will be different in different states. So right now we're talking about Maryland. So I know other folks will be in different states. So that's definitely something that's different. But in Maryland, where we see capacity sometimes is where a person has pretty much, they're very progressed in their maybe memory loss. They're pretty progressed in Alzheimer's, and they can no longer make safe decisions for themselves. Well, nothing was put in writing. And so guardianship is sometimes where family members have to step in and start the planning guardianship, which is very lengthy, very expensive, and a hard process to go through. And that's usually when we get those calls of, because you can't just have one test that says you don't have capacity. You have to have two, and a medical doctor being one. And then there's certain qualifications that second person can have, which is a licensed clinical social worker. So they are allowed to do that secondary piece of capacity. But the goal, again, is really not to get it there, get things done ahead. And so if you start to think that maybe your loved one might be having some issues with some possible memory impairment, if you're not already in that plan, start getting things done. And we prefer to come in earlier to do things such as a BCAT test, which is a brief cognitive assessment test. And it's it's all evidence and science based. We ask some questions, put it in, and it gives the family a report of kind of where they are and where they're expected to be going, which will then really help the family to make good decisions. So our goal is to catch things way sooner before we get to that capacity piece, because that just is a very long, dragged out process.
Thank you. For everyone watching and listening, just as a reminder, our topic today is navigating elder care, the benefits of an aging life care manager. And I'm talking with Jessica Young and Anne-Marie Rheil of Ferretto Young. Let's continue the conversation. Ladies, if there were three things that you'd want listeners to take away from today's discussion, what would they be?
We would ask you to get your pre-planning done. That really goes a long way in helping every family. We would encourage you to find an aging life care manager, and you could do that by going on aginglifecare.com. And we would say, don't Google.
It's caught a couple of people off. It can be so deceiving, and that's really hard, to get that call and just say, well, yeah, I've already given my information to company ABC, and now all this is coming at me, and I'm getting emails after email. And so Google it, but don't put all your eggs in that basket is really what we would say. And that pre-planning piece, even if it's not all done, get something started, even if it's just as simple as like a medical power of attorney. Just start small, and it can be built on, because not everybody wants to get everything thrown at them at once, right? Okay, so let's go with the easy medical power of attorney, then we can take it up a notch and then take it up. So even a MOLST, which a lot of, assisted livings require that MOLST before folks can even move in. So it doesn't have to be all at once. Start something and just keep making progress along the way, and as Anne-Marie said earlier, let people know. Sometimes we get family members that call and not sure if there's a long-term care insurance policy. Don't know. Parents never spoke about it. They're not sure. I think my dad was a veteran, but I'm not sure. Like, there's a lot of this unknown stuff. So really just ask questions now, and really start making sure those that are in your trusted family network know where you are with all of your things.
Now, and I guess I should have asked this earlier, but you all are based in Maryland, and precisely what's the scope of your service area?
So we are based in Maryland. So our office actually is in Baltimore, but we service every single county that touches Baltimore. So, and sometimes people will call us, and if they're calling for, say, maybe further, maybe Montgomery County or something, we can connect them to other aging life care managers down there. So if we end up being the first one that pops up that they've called, it's okay. We'll connect you to, because you want local. You want your aging life care manager to be local. Their job is to understand all of the resources and all of the services and the quality in that service area. So could Emery and I rifle down every single quality one we know? Sure. Could we do that in Montgomery County? No. So that's really where it comes down to making sure your service area is where your clients are.
And now that you said that, that'll really come in handy, particularly if there are any kind of home modifications that need to be done. A local person would have a better pulse on like where the contractors are, who the quality contractors are, to assist with those modifications if necessary, right?
Oh yeah, those can turn real difficult for families real quick without the it can turn fast because, you know, as you mentioned, you drive down the road and you see a sign that says, hey, handyman services, call, but they might not be. So there is a certification called CAPS in our industry. And so a lot of the providers that do those modifications are CAPS certified. So
and what does CAPS stand for, if you know?
It's Certified Aging in Place Specialist, which means they had to do certain things to be able to even have that qualification. So those are things that we look for. They have Maryland contract license. I mean, there's different things, but that CAPS piece is important for our population because of its aging in place. Yeah.
And I know that we've touched on this next question in different ways, but how can a family best prepare for elder care planning before a crisis hit? I know we talked about, you know, getting the estate planning piece done. So that's like my area, but maybe emotionally or, you know, otherwise, how best would you recommend that they start preparing?
So the practical paperwork, the legal, financial is really the most important. There are a lot of great books out there supporting older adults, preparing, achieving a good end of life. So maybe some reading to emotionally prepare, reaching out, we can make those suggestions. And we are still here in a crisis. Pre-planning is ideal, but if there is a crisis situation, know that you can call. We've handled families getting emergency discharge, immediate discharges on a Friday afternoon and need services in place. So we can also help with the crisis.
Well, that is very good to know, because I know as much as, you know, Ferretto Young and I, you know, beat that drum of stay prepared, get prepared, you know, the inevitable will happen and the crises will occur. Thank you for sharing that you're available, you know, if and when a crisis does occur. And then as we wrap up, you know, where can listeners find more information about your services and how can they contact you? I'm going to put your website and phone number up for the viewers. And that's ferrettoyoung.com. And the number is 410-661-6720. If either of you can talk about any resources that are on the site, or any other, you know, flyers or handouts that would be available to the public, that would be great.
So our website actually has many different components to it. There's actually an entire library in there of various articles to tap into, everything from solo aging to aging in place, assessing driving skills. We have a whole library of articles in there. We also do a monthly newsletter where you could sign on for that service on our website, if that's what you choose. You could contact us on the website. There's a little inquiry area where you can just say, hey, I'm looking for services. Can we have a conversation? And like we mentioned about the free 30-minute consult call. But the website even breaks it down. So trying to stay healthy for myself, the articles for that. I am a caregiver, trying to stay healthy for that. So all of these pieces of information are all tied together on there. So people can pick it apart and read whatever they need to. They can reach out with questions. They can email with questions. We always go back to connect with us first. Like try, even if we just answered 2 questions for you and you're like, okay, I'm good, and then go, at least we've got you on the right path versus that I've already, hired the wrong people. I've already got this going. So the website's very helpful. Lots of articles. We update often. Every month, there's new stuff out there for us.
Ladies, thank you so much for being guests on today's podcast. You both provided such valuable information. If you have any closing thoughts about the show, what you want people to just remember, even if it's beating that drum again, it's so important to do that. So I'll turn the floor over to either one of you. Any closing thoughts?
Well, thanks for having us, first of all. It's been a real privilege to do this. I think my closing thought would be we are all different. And so Ferretto Young is here to meet the needs of your individual family. And we want you to know that.
Outstanding. Jessica?
Don't hesitate to reach out. Whether you think, we have people that call in their 50s and 60s and, hey, what are the services out there? And even if they called 10 years ago, we would have had different answers back then because things are constantly changing in our world. I mean, there's programs now that weren't available back then. There's technology now. So reach out, ask questions. We can help you figure out what's out there or in that crisis. Okay, let's get this managed and then we can figure out further down the road. But don't be afraid to ask for help. And we're here. I mean, we'll answer emails, calls, questions, just to keep families on the right path.
Excellent. Excellent. It's been a joy and a pleasure to have both of you on the podcast. Everyone, we will have the link and the contact information to Ferretto Young in the show notes. And ladies, thank you so much for being a guest on the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. Everyone, if you have questions or concerns about estate planning and you're in the state of Maryland or the District of Columbia, I invite you to schedule a complimentary 15-minute call with a member of our team. The link will be in the show notes. Again, I want to thank you for being a part of this podcast with our guests from Ferretto Young. Have a wonderful day. Remember, stay informed, stay empowered, and take control of your legacy. I'll see you next time.